On today's episode,
please help me in welcoming the queen of hosting herself, Marki Costello.
When I started out my company, everybody said, you'll never succeed in having a management company that specializes in on-camera hosts. 6 months later, my business doubled. You have to know who your customer, listener, audience, reader is.
Marketing at its core is connecting through identification. You've got to understand who you're talking to and how they're going to react.
100%. And the more specific you get with knowing who your audience is, the easier it is to succeed.
it's time to go inside Quest with host Tom Bilyeu, president and co-founder of the second fastest growing private company in America. And now, he's uncovering the universal principles of success.
I can tell you right now what principle number one is: follow your passion.
Inside Quest starts right now.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Inside Quest. We're Bikram Yoga for the mind. Our goal is to bring on mental yogis who can help heat us up and help us stretch our intellectual limits. Our guest today is an indomitable personality who has been turned to by countless business leaders and celebrities who've turned to her to help develop and express her own authentic voice. She preaches real human connection, which I love, and has built a very successful talent management company by staying true to the guiding principle of authenticity. Uniquely able to peer into the soul of humanity, she really has stayed on top and ahead of the changing face of entertainment, understanding the shift towards the internet and the impact of social media in a way that few people really can match. So please help me in welcoming one of the largest personalities in the world. She's an author, instructor, consultant, talent whisperer, and founder of Creative Management Entertainment Group, the queen of hosting herself, Marki Costello.
Whoa!
Marki, thank you so much.
That was very impressive. I was impressed by my impressiveness.
Wow.
I was really
you impressed yourself
yes,
with that one.
I was impressed by my body of work, if you will.
I was impressed in the moment as well. So we just shared something that was nice. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Now, it really is incredible. The thing that I think going through your career that I found most impressive was the way that it goes across so many different areas.
Yeah.
And you speak to so many different constituencies. And it's fascinating because you have such a big personality and some of the stuff that you've done in reality TV, drama queen and things like that. I think people can get lost and miss the underlying message that you have, which is so consistent and so powerful, which is that human connection, engagement with the audience is ultimately what's going to lead you to be successful. So whether you're a business leader, a politician, doing a podcast, a TV show host, it doesn't matter. It's really about that authentic connection. So what is the secret to connecting?
Knowing who you're connecting to or want to connect to. So let's take Donald Trump for a second, okay? So
We're going
Donald
right
Trump,
there.
let's go right in. So Donald Trump comes out with his ridiculous statement, and behind the scenes, I have a big executive friend at NBC. They have an emergency meeting with him the next day, and they say, look, we have to do a press conference. We have to say that what you meant was really A, B, and C, and not what you really said. It was taken out of context, blah, blah, blah. And Donald Trump said, absolutely not. I won't. I did mean what I said, and I will continue to preach what I really believe. Now, obviously, he got huge backlash, and NBC dropped him, and everybody dropped him because they said we can't be aligned with someone who is clearly a racist. Now, here's the interesting part. I was talking to some millennials, and they said, well, I think all politicians are liars. I don't agree with Donald Trump. I wouldn't vote for him, but I have mad respect and props for him because he didn't back down to what he truly believed. He said, look, this is what I believe, and I'm not going to apologize for it, and if everybody drops me and everybody hates me and nobody votes for me, so be it, but I am who I am. And I think it's going to sort of work in his favor because being so authentic, he's connected to a lot of people for his truth.
So I'm going to separate two things that you're saying because one I really agree with and then the other one I think you're crazy.
Is it the crazy part, him building the wall?
No, the crazy part, what you just said, is that it will serve him in the long run. I think he's going to get punished for it relentlessly, and I'll say it here first. He's going to back off, I promise you. He will find a way to retract without retracting. It'll be some really careful thing, but he's going to have to back off, and he's even said, look, I didn't expect the backlash to be this vicious and extreme. So finding an authentic voice is awesome, and I found it fascinating. You've used him as a reference to finding your authentic voice before, and you're always very even-handed about, hey, look, he comes across as crazy to some, I totally get that, but he speaks very, very clearly to a certain group of people who, first of all, I'm sure loved some of the things that he said, and he knows who his audience is, and he's going after them very, very clearly. But the thing that we all fantasize about is the politician who tells the truth about everything, because we'd love that kind of transparency. But that only works if, when you're transparent, that I still agree with you. So you have an awesome quote, and I'm going to paraphrase, and I'm sure butcher it, but we're living in a social media age now where everyone's opinion has a global audience.
Right.
And once you realize now that your audience can speak globally within seconds of hearing that feedback from you, you've got to understand who you're talking to and how they're going to react.
100%. I use this analogy all the time because people say, well, what's the difference now than 2 or 3 years ago? I go, here's the biggest difference. We are now living in this social, digital, interactive dawn of media. You know, content is everywhere, and your audience has always had an opinion, but now they have a platform to share their opinion, and that could be good and bad. So let's take, for example, there was a person covering a big event, and they kind of just phoned it in. They weren't feeling great. How you doing? How you feeling? Great, la 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 la. Normally, 2 or 3 years ago, that person would have gotten a slap on their hand, you know what I mean?
Right.
Bring it up 4 notches, you're sort of... Well, the audience took to social media and said, you suck, don't you have anything intellectual or, smarter to ask these people that you're interviewing? We're so sick of the, superficiality, the shallow, the vacuous, you're stupid, you're dumb. And then what happened, literally, the network said, we're going to have to yank you from the next 2 events because our audience isn't feeling you. That person's livelihood is now jeopardized because the audience has always had an opinion, but now they have a platform to share their opinion. So you have to be mindful, because what's happening is everything is becoming interactive. Everything. Because your audience now can interact with you. So Donald Trump makes that statement, and all of a sudden, everybody is talking about it on social media. It's trending on every single, website, news show. And so whether you hate him or love him, he is getting our attention, negatively or positively.
Right. With that, you almost have to separate what you're saying there, specificity, authenticity, finding your voice, and finding your voice in a way that becomes marketable, right? So marketing at its core is connecting through identification. So you fly the flag of what your tribe is, and you welcome other people who think the way that you think and want to be a part of your tribe, and they come in. And you hope that you pick a tribe that's big enough to be meaningful from a business perspective, but that's also very, very specific, so people know if they belong in that tribe or not. But when you're a politician, you really do have to appeal to everyone, or at least the majority, right?
I want someone in the White House, not Donald Trump, but I want someone that is going to not back down from what they said and what they promised us. And I don't know if that's even achievable or conceivable in this day and age. But what I do think is great about communication and social media and the media now, it's all out there and we all have access to it and attainability. But there has to be accountability as well.
Did you read Schwarzenegger's autobiography, Total Recall?
I'm going to have to be totally honest with you.
Yeah.
No. He is not someone that I would read. I love reading anybody's success story. Maybe I should be. Should I? Is it great?
I think it is. It's great to me. And the funny thing is I turned someone on who hated Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
Absolutely hated. And I said, you need to read the book because it's empowering. To me, I'll take a good lesson wherever it comes from.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll read it.
My worst enemy has good advice. I'm going to take that good advice. And anyway, the book is truly phenomenal. And I would say it's probably one of my top 25 personally impactful books.
What was it that you loved?
Well, the reason I bring it up, the thing that resonated with me is that you've got a guy who doesn't make excuses, which is already very powerful. But in this instance, the reason I brought him up now is that he had a hard time in politics because I think he failed to recognize a truth of human nature, which goes back to what you were saying about connecting authentically. That really is important, but if your authentic voice has a level of aggression and zero fucks given, you can find yourself in just a stupid place where you're going to shut down the other person, right? And one of the things that I think have fascinated people about the way I interview is I never know who I'm going to be walking into the interview because I have an end goal in mind, right? So my end goal is to find out who that person really is and answer one question: will you thrive here or not?
And when you say here, meaning in the world, the universe, quest.
Here in Quest. So I never know what I'm going to have to do to get them to be who they really are in that interview, because interviews are weird. They come in as a representative of themselves, who they want you to think they are, not who they actually are. And you have to quickly break through those layers to get to the truth of who they are. To do that is different with every person, right? Some people come in with big personalities, some people come with small personalities. Some people come totally professional and they push you back through the suit and tie and all that. And you have to sort of figure the path to that truth. Now, that's critical, but it's totally goal-oriented, right? And if your goal is, I want to just be me, like I want to be the version of myself that makes me feel the best, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Well,
and I think, and look, I probably shouldn't prognosticate too much on Schwarzenegger's political career, definitely in way over my head here, but I'll just say what I think happened based on what I know about human nature. He comes in bigger than life, he outshines people, which makes him feel insecure, which means they're going to shut down, clam down, not want to see him get what he wants because it makes him bigger and then less important. So they're fighting for their own significance. So now, just to be personally significant, they have to reject him.
Right.
Whereas if he had flipped it and come in super humble and tried to work with people and help them feel great about themselves and if his goal had been everyone that's around me, I want them to feel more powerful, better about themselves than when they're around me than they do when they're not around me. And I don't think that was his strategy. My gut instinct is his strategy was to continue to project himself as the invincible winner, which doesn't always rub people the right way.
Well, the minute you're not being your true authentic self, I think audiences are savvy and smart, and they can smell bullshit, and they can smell being inauthentic. And even if that genuineness is like, I hate this, I love this, and not waffling, trying to make everybody happy, because the reality is it's impossible to make everybody happy. But people that have big personalities, it's threatening to other people. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he had such a big personality, and I think it scares people because most people operate from a dim light. So when someone's light is so bright, it scares them. They're jealous. How do I get that light? I don't have that light, I think you're absolutely right in the sense where he sort of came in so big, and for some that was hard to relate and connect to. For others, it was fabulous. I've worked with huge businessmen, like billionaires, and they've come to me to go, I want to be a better public speaker, or I don't know how to ask other billionaires to donate. And I feel embarrassed. I have all this money and I donate, but I don't like to ask other billionaires to donate. It makes me feel uncomfortable. So I worked with this huge billionaire, smart genius, very quiet. And the crazy thing is that his whole reason for coming to me was, I really want to spread the word about my philanthropy and my charity that means so much to me. But I get very uncomfortable when I'm talking to the masses, the people. And I said, well, what inspired you to start this charity, and why is it so important to you and your wife? And he said, we were on a trip, we met this little girl, and he goes into this whole wonderful story. So I said, when you get up at the next fundraiser, all I want you to do is tell me that story of that little girl, but tell it to the whole audience. And let them at the end of that story then decide on their own if it's worthy for them to donate their money. So you're not asking them, you're sharing with them the importance of philanthropy and giving back. And I always say, you don't have to be a billionaire to be a philanthropist. You don't have to even know how to spell philanthropy to be a philanthropist. You know what I mean? But when you're successful, it's very important that you give back. Attitude is gratitude. Abundance is reflective. When I started out my company, everybody said you'll never succeed. You'll never succeed in having a management company that specializes in on-camera hosts, experts, brands. And I said, why? Oh, it's never been done. And I said, all the more power to succeed. I sort of look at life and being a businesswoman, as the ultimate game. Like, I want to go to the next level. I want to master one level, and I want to go to the next level, and then I want to go to the next level.
Yeah, but that's how you're going to win. I want to know what drives you. So you stayed up till 4 a.m. playing a video game because you were unwilling to stop until you won.
Yes.
So you definitely have the will to win.
Right.
If I understand the story right, Chuck Barris really taught you what hard work and taking a risk is all about.
Yep.
Mom dies, that's a big impact. So as you tell the story, you make it sound like it's just a snowball and you were along for the ride, but I don't buy that.
No. It wasn't. It's a lot of hard work. I think what was driving me ultimately at the end of the day was I wanted success. I'm not going to lie. I wanted money.
And what does success mean to you?
I wanted power. I wanted to prove a lot of people, naysayers, wrong. But what I really wanted to achieve and what drives me, honestly, is it's just failure isn't an option. I like to push myself to see how far I can go. I literally think of my life as a video game.
Okay, those are two contradictory things, though, and I think that people fall into one of two camps. You either move towards things or away from things. If failure is not an option, it's because you don't want to fail. But that's very different than moving towards success. So are you in a panic that you will be perceived as a failure,
No.
or is there something specific you're trying to accomplish with your life?
I just feel like no guts, no glory. I don't see what the downside is. What's the worst that can happen?
Sure, and that's fine, but that's like saying I'm doing it because it's safe. And you've spoken very eloquently on getting people away from talking about the things that are safe. And that's usually where somebody who comes to you, whether they're a business leader, a host, or whatever, you literally carve away and say, that's the safe shit, your word, not mine. Let's get rid of that. We have to get through to that thing.
I disagree with you. I don't think what I'm answering is saying is that the safe way. I think that, like, I just don't have anything to lose except why not build this empire that I can build? I want to build a fucking empire. And,
do you want to see how far you can go?
And I want to see how far I can go until I die. I want to work until I can't work anymore. If I stopped working, that's what would kill me. I really believe what's lacking with this young generation is work ethic. You know, I don't care how stupid this sounds or, you know, how many times you've heard this, but hard work pays off in your relationships, in your business, in your life, let's say you wanted to lose 40 pounds. Well, are you going to lose that 40 pounds by not working hard or working hard by eating the right things, going to the gym? And then after you lose the 40 pounds, do you start eating the way you used to eat that got you 40 pounds fatter? No, you have to continue to eat that way, exercise to maintain. I am the type of person that, you know, I don't want to maintain, I want to lose another, like, meaning I want to continue to grow and build, and, you know, that's an analogy I thought Quest could understand. But let me flip it on you for a second. What made you start Quest? I mean, obviously you have this amazing, you know, office and studio and TV platform and, you know, this amazing line of bars and chips. What is your quest for the world based on this brand?
The quest, really, how ironic that you should ask that question today. The woman sitting in the audience right there is my sister, who happens to be visiting of all random times.
Where she raise her hands? Okay.
My sister Kim. So I grew up in a morbidly obese family, a family that really struggled with weight profoundly, and I am motivated by something similar in that I want to see how far I can go. I want to see how many skills I can acquire that have utility and put that utility to the test. So our uncle ate himself to death when I was 12, so she would have been about 16. And it was weird and scary and sad, and he was a shut-in, and it was just, I mean, this is before morbid obesity had a name. So
right.
it left a lasting impression on me. And I realized he was just never able to make the right choices. So, you know, looking at my mom and my sister, and I was terrified that I was going to lose them way too early because they weren't able to get their health in line. And people said, oh, it's got to be their choice. It's really up to them. And I reject that. And I said, then that means that I don't yet have the skill set, because my secret goal in life, if you want to get down to who I really am, and this audience knows it all too well, I want to be a Jedi. And I say that with absolute sincerity. I'm not trying to be cheeky. I don't want to wield lightsabers. It's not interesting, but these are not the droids you're looking for, is the central movement of my life. The ability to persuade myself to do things that even I think at the beginning of the journey are too difficult, and I believe in my ability to influence myself and then the ability to influence others. And so I looked at my sister, and who was, she was very unhappy. And I said, what would it take to make her happy? And realizing that one of the things was going to have to be to make food that she could choose based on taste, and it happened to be good for her. And she was the one that made me realize the products are a catalyst, and that's it. They're not a reward. It's not what you give to somebody for working their ass off. It's what you give to somebody to say, hey, somebody gives a shit about you enough to do some really hard work,
right,
to accept the truth of humanity, which is we eat food to soothe ourselves, we eat food to celebrate, to cheer ourselves up, to bond. Like my family, we bond over food.
Right.
And it is an amazing experience. And the joy that it can bring in wanting to do that. And watching then what she did with that is so mind-blowing. And she took that tiny catalyst and transformed it into a revolution in her life that is echoed through our entire family, and is one of the most beautiful transformations that I've ever seen in my life. And truly, truly, she's lost over 120 pounds. That is her transformation. She owns that. She woke up every day, made the hard choices, ate the right things. We'll get to that in a minute. Ate all the right things, has just changed as a human being, has become a light and a joy for herself and for others to be around. And her career, you can literally watch what's happened in her career, tied completely to the awakening of joy inside of her.
Feeling good.
Yeah, and it's incredible, and she's just gotten herself into this self-reinforcing positive loop. And it has become lore for this company, and it's the mythology of this own company that it is a catalyst, and look at how it can impact the people. And so for me, it's a deeply personal endeavor. I'm not an idiot. I know that there's hundreds of millions of people that struggle with the same kinds of things, and myself included in that. At one point I was 230 pounds. So I understood the realities of the human condition, the things that led people to be there, and on two levels. One, it was deeply personal and beautiful, the most amazing thing that's ever happened to watch her transform. And then two, one thing that I pride myself on, and you have to be everyone needs to pride themselves on something, and you need to be incredibly careful about what you pride yourself on. One of the things I pride myself on is looking at the biggest problems we face as a society and saying, that's my problem to solve. So metabolic disease, obesity, that's my problem to solve. It's not anybody else's problem. I'm not waiting for somebody else. I hope other people rise up next to me, because my goal is to end it. It's not to, be holding a flag and saying, I did it. I'm just not willing to say, oh, there's nothing that can be done, and wait for other people to act. Like, that's on me.
Right.
So, and because that fills me with pride, just the willingness to embark on the journey, whether I fail or not is somewhat irrelevant. Just having the guts to go down that path is meaningful.
Now go back to your mom.
Yeah. So here's the beauty of my family. They've been this wonderful dichotomy that showed me that we've gone a long way and seen amazing things happen with what this company's been able to do, and we've got a long way to go. And we haven't yet gotten the lock and key for what my mom needs to take that next step. I feel like we're getting closer. And my mom is a breathtakingly amazing human being whom I love beyond all measure, and have just massive, massive amounts of respect for her. And that's why, to me, it's a problem. It's just a problem that has to be solved. And I just don't think we as individuals have to sit back and say, but that's not my problem to solve.
No, I agree. I feel like what happens is in life, when you're on your path, your quest, for whatever it may be, whether it's weight loss, building a business, raising a child, having a healthy relationship, obstacles will be thrown in our way. And I don't think we're ever judged on the obstacles, but we're judged on how we deal with the obstacles. And, so I sort of look at those obstacles as getting to the next level. So like when an obstacle or a problem comes, I go, oh, over that obstacle, once I remove it, is the gift. And then I go to the next level, and so on, where most people, 90% of the world, think, oh, there's the obstacle, I give up, it's too hard, I tried, I just can't do it. And that's why they stay stagnant.
Why do you do that when so many others stop?
Because I'm not fearful of failing. I'm not fearful of dying. I'm not fearful. I think 90% of the world is run by fear. And fear is the unknown. Fear is scary. You know, we're built to be fearful of, if we don't buy this product, we won't have pretty hair. If we don't buy these shoes, then we won't have good posture. We're wired from a young age that fear is what sort of motivates us to purchase, buy. And so we're fear-based. 90% of the population is fear-based. The 10% of the population that isn't fear-based are the successful people. And I say 10% because that's really the truth of the successful people out there.
Do you think people can be broken out of that?
Yes, I do. I think.
How do you break them out of that?
You break it out of it by changing and rewiring, just like a computer, just like losing weight. You know, you broke your sister out of her relationship with food, her relationship with self, her relationship with her job based on how she felt, which was a result of food. So you sort of broke her out of that. And I feel like there is a way to break out of how you're wired with fear.
Well, let's go a little bit deeper on that, because so one thing that I think is really important to note about her transformation is I didn't do anything. I gave her a catalyst. That was it, right? And that's how we internally refer to what we're trying to do. We're trying to give people a catalyst and then create a supportive group to support them, cheer them on as a change. But she had to do the hard work, right? She had to show up every day. She had to grind it out. Sure.
Right.
The catalyst, no question. I'm just, when I think about how do we free people from that fear mentality, and I trace back, let's say, my sister, I don't know what happened in her mind that actually clicked her over into taking that first step and finally saying, okay, fine, if I fail, so be it. I'm not going to be a slave to fear. Let's say you've got a client, they walk in, you can tell they are the next thing. There's something special about them. They listen, they take your direction, but they are afraid. How would you help them pass that?
Bye-bye.
Really? That's it? You don't have an answer for getting them out of that?
No, because I know no matter what I do, it'll never be enough. In the sense where, you know, talent are the most self-sabotaging human beings walking the face of earth. And what's happened in this day and age, they have gaping holes of, I wasn't loved by my mom, my dad beat my mother, so I want to become famous so everybody loves me. I want to be loved. I want everybody to know my name. The people that succeed are the ones that come in and go, I want to do this, Marki, because television or movies or print allows me to reach more people through that platform, and I have a message that I want to reach the masses. And those are the people I want to work with, not people who just want fame because they want to be loved. And those are the people that will never succeed because it's not about you. The true meaning of success in any business is putting your customer, your listener, your viewer, your buyer first, okay? Quest, and you have these amazing bars and protein powders and chips, and they're healthy for you and they're good for you, right? Well, who is your buyer? Who is your consumer? And are you truly putting their needs, wants, and desires before yours? Because if you're not, if you're constantly thinking about them versus self, what else can we give them to motivate them so they can live their most successful, authentic life? And if that's the way you woke up every day and sort of operate it, what can I give my customer, my Quest customer? You got to know who they are, and you have to think about their needs, wants, and desires before self. And that's how you truly succeed. So even if you want to be an on-camera personality, well, what is it that you want to engage them with, and who are they, the viewer? Oprah figured it out 25 years ago. Put the audience first, you become a star. Her last 5 years of her talk show, people would wait months, years to get a seat in her live studio audience. Why? Because she was so fucking good to her audience. She would look through that lens and think about the 20 million people as well, besides the 5,000 that were sitting in there live. And that's what's so important. And those are the people that truly succeed.
People who know their audience.
Yes.
Awesome.
And their brand. Knowing their audience and their brand. Okay.
Marki, thank you so much. Amazing to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
The incomparable Marki Costello, absolutely amazing, delivers everything with high energy, knows her audience, entertainment value, has a big personality, which I am certain is a cultivated tactic that this woman uses to work her way through the world very powerfully. So my dear, thank you for coming on and sharing that with us.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, this is a weekly show. You know where to find us. You can subscribe here or hit us up at InsideQuest.com. You can follow me at Tom Bilyeu, but where can we find you, Marki?
You can check out becomeahost.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Marki Costello. And if you want information on how to take your brand to another level, then go to becomeahost.com and try to get into my boot camp. That's the best way to sort of start, especially with all the new information with digital and broadcast merging. I have a book, my second book, coming out on Amazon in October called Beyond the Lens, Engaging Your Audience.
Nice, well said. All right, Periscope, don't go anywhere. We're about to do Inside Questions. Everybody else, thank you so much for joining us. And if you're on YouTube right now, be sure to go watch the Inside Questions version here with Marki Costello. Marki, again, thank you so much for being on the show. A pleasure.
Coming up next, Inside Questions.
Why don't we jump to one of the Periscope questions here? I want to hear from both of you. Are there any specific tools that you can suggest I can utilize to get in touch with and uncover my passion, as I am not sure what I want to do with my life? Marki.
Here's a great tool. If you were going to write a book and like a publisher would possibly buy this book from you, what could you write a book on? If 10% of the population can relate and connect to her, then you're a mega global brand.
For me, passion really is going to come down to that thing that you like, the thing that you love doing, the thing that you're drawn to. I don't think people don't know what their passion is. I think they're embarrassed to admit what their passion is.